5 reasons why Tim Davies, the incoming Director General of the BBC, cannot fix this broken organisation. He's made quite a song and dance about his desire and will to fix the BBC since he took up the job. And for us that have been following the BBC for some time, it's completely absurd, these claims, and following him as well. So here's 5 reasons why nothing's going to change. Firstly is the problem of broken promises. Tony Hall, the previous Director General, the one that Tim has just taken over from, made exactly the same claims and apparent recognition that the whole organisation is awash with bias in his outgoing interview. Gave a long interview to Amal Rajan, BBC's media editor, and he explained that they needed lots more diversity of opinion and voices outside of London. Tony Hall had been there for 17 years, and this was still the problem. He spoke about the fact that they needed to get out of their metropolitan bubble. Why didn't he address this problem in his 17 years there? The Director General before Tony Hall, Mark Thompson, has also admitted that there was huge bias in the BBC back in the 1980s, and they were really biased towards Margaret Thatcher. So it's Director General after Director General, and the general recognition is that the bias at the BBC has been getting worse, not better, despite all of these Director Generals recognising there was a problem. So broken promises, 3 Director Generals in a row, decades of failure. I really don't think that's going to change now. The second reason is that Tim Davies has been at the BBC since 2005, and not just a worker at the BBC, he has been right at the top, and nothing has changed. Okay, he even became the Director General. He's been Director General before. He became Director General in 2012 after George Entwise, another Director General who's widely recognised to have a disastrous spell, was stood down in the wake of a scandal on Newsnight, and of course Jimmy Savile. So he's actually been Director General before. He was the first senior appointment of Mark Thompson, 2 Director Generals back. So he's part of that really cosy up there top of the club. He's had influence over the other Director Generals, and nothing has changed. He was really crucially for what's going on at the BBC now. He was involved. He was on the board when they made the disastrous decision, the really awful decision to make OAPs pay, tax OAPs for this service that a lot of them don't want and isn't serving them. And he's actually said that was a right decision. He's going to stand by the taxing the elderly and the vulnerable. He was involved with lots of other disastrous things, like the abandoned plans to shut down Asian Network and BBC 6 Music. So he's not exactly got a squeaky clean record. He was head of World News for a time, another segment of the BBC that really has been awash with bias too. So why is suddenly he going to start fixing things when he's failed to do so before? And I think crucially, he's been at the top of the BBC at a time when it has been completely surpassed by Netflix, Disney, Amazon, and its commercial rivals. Tony Hall expressed no regret about failing to monetize and commercialize and grow the organisation, and Tim Davies was up there on the top table with him. So that's the second issue. He's failed before, and he's been at the top table. Number 3, he's trying to hide the problem, not solve it. Okay, when he gave his big rambling speech in his first few days on the job, he spoke about the issue of impartiality 11 times in the speech. And the only really meaningful solution to this problem that he got into in that speech was effectively stopping staff tweeting and sharing their views. He wanted them all to hide their views online. And that's fair enough. Some people like Gary Lineker use their platform unfairly to campaign, but really it doesn't address the myriad of different ways in which bias seeps into the programming and sort of the campaigning edge of a lot of the things in the BBCs and the way that they transpire. This happens in everything of what type of stories they pursue, what politicians they criticise. It transpires in sort of the cultural bias of some of the children's TV programming, and just the tone that they take with different guests on different programmes. Some are called campaigners and right-wing activists. Some are just called, activists and charity workers and things like that. There's so many subtle ways that bias works in the BBC from the left and the right. It's not a neutral organisation. And just hiding people's tweets online, the staff from sharing their views online, isn't solving that problem. It's just hiding it. There's been reports that he might actually look about putting more staff onto sort of a self-employed settlement, so we can't find out about their grotesquely huge and unjustified pay packet. So again, hiding the problem, not solving the problem of overpay. He's also, of course, allocated a huge budget, a huge a pay packet for a brand new PR guru to basically cover up the problem and not solve it. So all the signs that I'm seeing at the moment show that he's covering this up, not addressing the root of the problem. Okay, number 4. There's a structural problem at the BBC that because it effectively lives off a telly tax rather than earning its right to exist, the pay is not tied to performance in the same way with the business, and it's not compelled to serve its audience. Okay, it knows its income is guaranteed, because if we don't give it money, we go to jail. So it knows the money's going to come in, so it can go on producing programs that people don't want and that annoy a huge section of the population or fail to serve a huge section of the population. And until those viewers have power in the BBC, and that power is that they don't watch it and that they bring their custom elsewhere, the BBC won't be compelled to serve them. And it will also keep giving huge bonuses to people like Zoe Ball, even though she's lost 1 million viewers. She got £1 million pay rise despite losing 1 million viewers. Now that wouldn't happen in a business, because your pay is tied to performance. A business can't afford to do that. It can't just hand out money to people that aren't bringing in profits. So that structural problem isn't going to change unless the license fee is scrapped and unless the BBC starts earning its right to exist and earning its way in this world. So that structural problem is going nowhere, and Tim Davies has not signalled he wants to change that, so that's not going to change. Number 5, the problem with impartiality. All broadcasters in this country are forced to at least pretend to be impartial on TV by the broadcast regulator, Ofcom. Sky News does this, Channel 4 does this. They all claim that they are completely impartial, they're giving completely balanced facts, and they know exactly where the middle ground. It's an incredibly arrogant thing to claim. But they make this claim every day that they know exactly where the middle ground lies, and they're giving you the completely balanced perspective on really, really complicated issues going on around the globe. Everything from science to geology to politics to war. One broadcaster knows exactly where the middle ground is and where the balance of views is. Now, of course, that's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. There's no way that one person or one organisation can get the middle ground right on all of these complicated issues. And you know what? The public, the viewers, are waking up to this fact because they're using the internet, they're seeing different sources, they're seeing different versions of events where certain things, they realise that in the 10 o'clock news, one element might have been overplayed, one element might have been ignored or underplayed, and they're realising that actually probably these broadcast presenters aren't as balanced as they claim to be. Now this affects Sky, it affects ITV, it affects Channel 4 obviously, and that they all claim to be impartial, when I think the viewers now are waking up increasingly to the fact that these journalists are biased, political, and are pushing an agenda. And unless we move to a situation where people are honest about the political perspective they're coming from, they're more honest about the views that they hold, and they invite a wider diversity of views onto their screen, that is not going to change. And Tim Davies literally can't change this because it's enforced upon him by the broadcast regulator, Ofcom. They force them to follow this strange pattern, this strange conception of impartiality, fake impartiality, and he can't change that. Some broadcasters have changed to try different ways of doing it, like LBC, where they have one very opinionated person on one side of the discussion and they have a very opinionated person on the other side of the discussion. They sort of contrast off each other, and they claim that impartiality emerges from the divergence of views. I can't see the BBC doing that. They're dedicated to this bland, middle-of-the-road broadcasting. They don't like to promote fiery, interesting views because they say that it's dangerous. So that isn't going to change. He can't change Ofcom regulation. So people will keep being frustrated by this live impartiality, which is effectively a tool for pushing an agenda. And that ain't changing. Okay, there's all those 5 reasons why Tim Davies isn't going to fix the BBC. Thanks for watching.